All right, everybody, we are live right here on Jessica Grace Live, and I'm so excited about today's show, you guys. It's going to be so uplifting, so inspiring, so empowering. So, we want you to share this broadcast right now. I'm going to my Facebook, my YouTube, and my LinkedIn on my phone, and I am sharing this broadcast so that someone else can tune in tonight. We're going to be talking about grief to grace, overcoming loss, and finding hope and grace after loss. So, you definitely want to tag a friend in the comment section. Let them know that we are live and we want to see them on the show. All right, everybody, here I am. I'm coming. Listen, we had a few technical difficulties. We had some technical difficulties, and I say, you know what? I don't know how people do this without the Lord. Because you've got to have him to keep you encouraged and inspired and motivated to keep pushing through. But we are here. I'm excited. I am your host, Jessica Grace, and we have a fantastic show planned for you. I have my good friend and client. She is backstage. She is my sister in Christ, prayer partner. We're a part of the same prayer partner team. And so we have had a great time in the Lord together, but also in the birth of her ministry through her testimony. So, if you know someone who is trying to overcome grief, they're trying to get through the holiday season, you need to tag them right now in the comments and tell them to tune in because tonight's episode is going to be amazing. So let us know in the comments where you're listening from, where you're watching from. I know I have some people who are coming in from YouTube and then some from let's see, LinkedIn, some from Facebook, Instagram. So let me know in the comments where you're from. In the meantime, I'm going to bring on my friend. Let's see. There you are.
Hi,
How's it going, beautiful? How are you?
it's going well. And yourself?
All is well. All is well. I'm doing good. Excited to have you on. I know that we have tried to troubleshoot all kinds of things. So, like I told you, we are just going to do this the way I originally wanted to do it in person.
Mhm.
So, we're going to let this be what it is, but we're also going to make sure that we come back another time as well, just to make sure that we highlight your story on other platforms as well. So I'm
Thank
excited
you.
about that. But anyway, so Coach Jackie, you are with us, and I'm excited to have you on because it's the holiday season. And I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how to navigate this time of year without something or someone that they were accustomed to having. And I wanted to bring you on because of your amazing ministry from grief to grace. So,
Mhm.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into your story? Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jacqueline Shumpert, and I reside in Tupelo, Mississippi. I am the proud mother of four. There is one that is deceased, but I had two daughters and two sons. And my husband and I, we have seven grandchildren together. And we are members of Temple of Compassion and Deliverance, where my husband serves on the deacon board, and I'm an elder in the ministry.
And so, you recently felt led to bring forth a nonprofit, a ministry to help others who are overcoming grief. And that is from grief to grace, right?
Absolutely. Um, once, when my son died, it was such a shock, and I just couldn't believe that the death was without a purpose. I
Mhm.
know that it happened, and God does all things well, but I knew that He had a purpose um, within that death. And it took some time for me to heal and get the healing going so that I could begin to actually see what the purpose was.
Right, right. Well, I love it. I love that you found a way to turn your pain into purpose. And we want to hear about just some of the things that you have learned throughout the last few years, overcoming grief, navigating a new season as a believer. Kind of take us back and kind of tell us, what do you feel was the most were the most challenging things to overcome after your son passed?
I want to say that death is never an easy topic for anyone. That is, if it was sudden, or if someone was with a long term illness, or if it was tragic. Tragic. Death is just not an easy subject for anyone to deal with or to talk about. It makes you feel all kinds of emotions, and most of the time, those emotions are uncomfortable for people, so that's not anything that you just want to talk about.
Mhm.
Um, Things that I know when my son died, um, the week of his death and leading up to the funeral, and maybe a week or two after, we had plenty of company. We had plenty encouragement. We had plenty of visitors. I mean, we had an abundance of love shown to us. But it was in the time after the funeral was over and he had been buried, and that the company started to go away. There was there no more. The check-ins got few, and all the way to there was none, that you have to come to grips and deal with that yourself. So here
Mm.
you are in silence and you're thinking, am I in a nightmare or am I going to wake up? And so you had to learn to process that this really happened. This is my reality. This will be our family's new norm, that we'll live the rest of our lives without making new memories with our son. So it was crippling, to say the least. Um, there were so many dark days and dark nights and tears and um, uncertainty. It was just so many emotions that came rushing all at once. And it was enough emotions that it could actually make you lose your mind. Because, for one thing, it's not a natural process to us as humans to bury our children. The children are supposed to bury the parents. That's like the natural thing that we've been accustomed to, but it doesn't always happen that way. So here we are, we're out of sync. So
Mhm.
you're out of balance. And you have to say, what can I do, or how can I get some balance back in my life? And for me, that was clinging closer to my faith and to God. Um, During the women's conference we had a women's conference um, the middle of November, and I was to be the speaker on that Wednesday night. And my daughter Zoe surprised me with her introduction. And one of the things she said is that my mom didn't lose her mind. And she was able to say that because she heard me pray. And a lot of my prayers was, God, don't let me lose my mind.
Mm.
And she was able to hear that.
Mm.
And not only has she heard me say it, but
Mm.
she's a witness to my mom didn't lose her mind. Not because of anything of her own strength, but how I kept going back to God, and I
Mm.
kept relying on him and relying on his strength to take me from A to A and a half, not even to B, but to A and a half, and then on from A and a half to B, and then on and on and on. And still to this day, I rely solely on his strength to get me through the day, to get me through the week, to get me through the month, just to get me through all the time. Because with grief, the emotions are so tricky, they can sneak up on you at any time. You can
Mhm.
be laughing and having a good time, but then all of a sudden a memory will pop up. And
Mm.
sometimes that memory can take you down a crying lane. Sometimes it can take you down an angry lane. Sometimes it can take you down a laughing lane. I mean, it just can take you either which way. But yes, it was through nothing but prayer and God that I was able to not lose my mind.
Wow. So many things you said that just really touched me. First of all, your daughter, I love Zoe, my birthday twin. But just thinking about the fact that, that lets us know someone is always watching. Someone
Mhm.
is always watching us, and they're always
Absolutely.
watching to see if we're going to hold on to our testimony. you
Right.
know but I'm sure as a believer, even when you're going through the toughest moments, were you thinking about someone else is watching me, or were you in a state where you were just trying to get through it? Where was your mindset at that time?
No, I wasn't thinking about someone else was watching me. In fact, I was thinking, God, are you watching me? God, do you see me? Do you feel this is an absolutely like someone tore my heart out of my chest without giving me any sedation. Like I was just woke and they just tore my heart out of my chest. So, no, I wasn't aware of who was watching or if they were watching or could I possibly be somebody else's hope. That never crossed my mind because the pain was so severe. But
Mm,
what did cross my mind is that I wanted to have relief from this pain. And I wanted to have relief in the right way. So many times people seek relief. They just need a relief. They don't really mean to do, or they're not trying to become a mean person or a bad person or
mm,
anything, but they're looking for relief. So if they're not strong enough or their faith is not intact, then they'll find relief in other things, drugs, sex, gambling, and in other people. So I was looking for relief and I just wanted to do it and have it done in the right way. And often I would pray, God, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know
mm.
what you're doing to me, with me, and through me. But at this point, I have no other option. He was the only option that I had.
Whew.
Yeah. He was
Whew.
the only option that I had. Yeah.
No other option. Oh my goodness. So I know a lot of people are just tuning in. We've had so many people popping on, and we can't see the accurate numbers because some people are watching but they're not clicking in, which is fine. You guys can watch from the background or you can come in and join in on the conversation. But thank you all for being with us. I'm talking to Coach Jacqueline Shumpert. She is a certified grief coach, and she has a wonderful ministry helping those navigating loss, and it's called From Grief to Grace. So we're diving in a little bit into her story. And so how I want to make sure you're comfortable, sis. I don't want to dig too much, but I want to be able to set it up well for the audience and those who are watching and trying to relate. Kind of take us to as far as back as you would like to. You've already shared so many good nuggets, but just for the audience to kind of put themselves in your shoes. We've talked about how, some things that you've had to do to press through. But take us back to the moments that you feel most comfortable sharing about as it relates to your son.
Um, I remember I went to work. Well, let me just back up a little farther. He worked night shift. And
Mhm.
we always had this thing where when he worked night shift, I would say, text me and let me know that you got in. Well, he wasn't going to text me. He was going to call me out of spite
Mhm.
so he could hear me ranting and raving. Didn't I tell you not to call me? I told you to text me. You wake me up and I gotta be up. And it was just his thing. That's just the way he was. And so, but that Monday morning he didn't text, but I still didn't think, and he didn't call. I still didn't think anything of it because it was normal for him to go to his brother's house and crash. And so that wasn't, and I would check on him later on in the day, is so what I thought. I would just call him about 11 or 12, or call his brother and say, hey, had you seen him? And, yada, yada, yada. Well, I went on to work, and as I went to work, I was in a meeting. I had a meeting that starts at 8 o'clock, and I didn't take my cell phone in the meeting with me. And when I got out of the meeting, instead of going straight back to my office, I chose to opt out and go talk to some more colleagues and stop in their office, have a little coffee, chit chat. I just was not, I was just distracted that morning and not going straight back to my office. And so by the time I got back to my office, I literally had over 50 missed calls from different family members and from the hospital. And so the first thing in my mind was like, something's wrong with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Never did I think it would be anything with one of my children. It was either my mom or my dad. So that's the first thing that I got. I picked up the phone to call one of my sisters back, and ended up my husband buzzed in, and he had gotten a bunch of calls, and he was a truck driver over the road at the time, and he was on his route, and they were telling him to get back to his docking station and come back and go to the hospital because our son had been in a bad wreck. It's what they
Mm-hmm.
said. And so I said, in a wreck, and he said, yes, get to the hospital because I was closer working. And so I did that. I think I just slid down the stairs and went on to the hospital. And I got to the hospital and I met my second sister in the parking lot.
Mm.
And as I was going to the hospital, I had this sixth sense that something was wrong, that it was really bad. I did have that, but I didn't know that it was destructive. And so as I met my sister in the parking lot, she was full of tears because she had gotten the calls as well and gotten to the hospital before I got there. So when I got to the hospital and she was full of tears, I jumped out of the car. I honestly don't know how the car parked or where it parked. I just jumped out of the car and started running into the emergency room. And the coroner met me at the door, and she
Mm.
asked me my name. And when she asked me my name, I took a deep breath. And the rest that she said, I was on the floor.
Mm.
So after I passed out and I came through, I looked at her and I said, are you sure? It's got to be a mistake. And she
Mm.
handed me his wallet with the ID in it. So it wasn't a mistake. I knew it wasn't a mistake then. But the pressure from her saying, I'm sorry, there's
Mm.
been an accident and your son didn't make it. I think it just knocked the wind or the breath out of me at that moment.
Wow. Mm, mm, mm. Whew. So, and the reason why I'm processing this is because I see you now, and I don't think I knew you as closely as I know you now. I've
Mhm.
only been around um the church family and things of that nature. It's only been about maybe 8 years, not something like that, maybe a little bit more. But as far as you and I being closely connected, it's only been just a couple years, I feel, just a
Mhm.
few years. And so to
Mhm.
see the strength that you walk in now, you know what I mean? Compared to when I first met you, I know it's nobody but
Yeah.
God.
Absolutely.
Nobody but
Absolutely.
God. So
Nobody.
he's been your strength. God has been your strength, your hope. And I know a lot of people wonder sometimes when we say that, they're like, well, God is, he can't be, my everything because he can't bring this back. He can't bring that back. He can't. How is it that you can truly say that with what you have endured, with what you have encountered, that God has literally been your everything to bring you through where you've been?
Because there is absolutely no way that I would be able to sanely function. I mean, I function in a productive way or even sanely have a conversation with you or anybody else about anything that I have experienced if it had not been for the Lord. I'm telling you, there are so many days. As you said, you know me, you see me now, and sometimes people see me now. It's been 5 years, February. Uh, 3rd, 2020. And so 2025 made it 5 years since that incident. But there is no way where I am today is where I was 2021 or 2020
Mhm.
or even 2024, to say the least. There is no way. And to get to where I am and to get to the place in my mind and in my heart that God, um, I don't want anything to separate me from you. It
Mhm.
had to be because God and I had a relationship, and that relationship kept being built off trust. I know this is an uncomfortable position for you, Jackie, but if you just trust me, it's going to work out for your good.
Wow.
And I hold on to that, that all things work for my good. That's got to be everything. That's got to be the
Mhm.
bad, the ugly, the hurtful, the painful, the disappointment. That's got to be everything. It's going to work for my good. It's not working right then, but if I just hang on, there's a due time that it's going to
Yes.
work out. Yeah, there's a due time. Yeah.
Woo, there
Yeah,
is
you make
that
me feel
due
like
season.
preaching.
We're here for it. We are here for it. Okay. And you are right about it. There's all the winter, summer, spring, and fall, but there's that due season where
There's
the
a due
Lord just makes
season.
it all
Mhm.
worthwhile and He makes it make sense. And I
Yes.
believe that a part of it is why we're here today, from grief to grace. Why do you
Yeah.
feel like people needed from grief to grace?
I feel like people need it because too often people get stuck, and they're stuck because they get embarrassed to really share or to really confront what they're feeling. Because if I tell you how I felt, then you're going to think that something is wrong with me. You're going to think I'm either crazy, or maybe she don't really know God. Maybe she's not a preacher, or just people get kind of embarrassed that they have these thoughts or these feelings going on with them, and honestly, you are human and you are processing it through a human way. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with you processing it that way. The only thing is, don't be okay with not being okay. Let's not get stuck there. And so, from time, I feel like when I said to the Lord, okay, this happened to me. And of course, you knew that it was going to happen because you are all knowing, wise God. You know everything. You knew that this was going to happen. Now I have to rely that you know that what I'm going to do with what has happened.
Mm,
I have to rely on you, because if I relied on me, then I may not get out the bed. I may
mhm,
not eat. I may sink farther into depression. I may get on I may get on anything that if I rely on my own will or on my own strength. But if I rely on you, you already know how the plan works and how it ends. So for a lot of people, they don't have that courage and they don't have that confidence that this has happened to me, and this is not the end of the chapter, or this
mhm.
is not the end of the book. There's more chapters in that book. There's more
Right.
to you than just right here. There's more to you than just being stuck in your grief.
That's so good and so true. I remember when my father passed in 2016, and so it'll be about 10 years, or it'll be 10 years next year. But I remember going through the 6 months of grief counseling, and it was so educating and so enlightening. And the reason why I enjoyed it was because I was able to make sense of how I was feeling. Just what you were
Mhm.
saying, well, why am I angry today? But then, tomorrow, the next day, I feel some kind of other way, so a lot of times we don't understand that there are those 7 stages of grief, and they don't come in an order. It's not going to be always anger, then guilt,
Yeah.
and then you know uh regret. Sometimes it
Yeah.
goes so many different ways. And so you're right. It takes someone who can make sure you understand that this is a process and you can get through this process. So holding you accountable, being a shoulder to lean on. And I love that. I am a fan of From Grief to Grace. But I also want to talk about the birthing process and you getting to the point to where in your journey you understood or you became aware that, hey, there is more to this. Something, God is calling me for something. Kind of take us to that season, that time where you felt like the Lord was leading you to help others in this way.
Well, before I actually birthed Grief to Grace, I was going through the journey and the healing process, and I wanted to be kind of secluded. Like I'm healing and I'm doing well. I'm coping well with it. So let me just be kind of secluded. Let me just focus solely on healing me is where I was. And it seemed like every time I was wanting to be secluded, I always was getting attacked or dragged into something. And I kept going, "Ah, I'm trying to heal." So, like, where is all of this distraction attack? Where is this coming from? Because I'm
Mm.
literally just trying to heal. And so I remember the day, I want to take you back to here, the day that my son was being buried. I got everybody in the house dressed to go to the funeral service, and everybody was dressed. And I went in there and I made sure, because I bought everybody all his children clothes, my children. I mean, I bought everybody clothing so they could be dressed appropriate and dressed in timely. Look presentable at the services. I did all of that, and so it was time for me to get ready. And I went into our bathroom and I said, "I'm not going. There's no way that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is just not me. This ain't what I signed up. God, I've been through a lot of stuff, but this right here, I'm drawing the line on. I ain't signed up for this. I'm not going. Everybody's dressed. The funeral's paid for. I mean, everything is set. All they have to do is show up, and I'll just stay here." Is what the conversation God and I was having in the bathroom. And he said, "There's purpose for your pain." Now that didn't make any sense at all, like none. And I screamed even more because he said it to me. I was like,
Mhm.
that is really another slap on top of this wound that I've already had. So he said that to me, and I proceeded to go ahead and get dressed and go to the service. And all in the service, um, I kept thinking, what is that? What did he mean? Like, what did he mean? I would be in an emotion, but I could still hear there is purpose for the pain. I could still hear that. And I didn't understand. I got up and I spoke. I wasn't supposed to be able to speak, but I got up and I gave
Mm.
encouraging words. I wasn't supposed to be able to do any of that. And then I sit down and I say it again. But it wasn't right then that I realized that I was supposed to, like I said, birth from grief to grace. It was years later. Like
Mhm.
Grief to Grace was birthed this year, which was in
Mhm.
April 2025. He died in 2020. So it was 5 years later. But even when he was saying that, things started happening and he was steadily pushing, pushing the purpose out of me, if you will. Like I'm pushing. Things are happening because I'm pushing something that's in you that I want to get out of you. So
Mm.
go on a little farther, and I remember wanting to be secluded and things was happening, but we have a prayer group, and when we had our prayer group, and at our prayer group, every time it would seem like my prayer would be intensified, and God talking and speaking through me would be intensified in each group, and I was like, okay, I see
Mhm.
you working. I see you doing some stuff, but I still got this going on, and I don't know how to do this and to do this. And I remember
Mm.
uh, being in the prayer one night, and um, you said the Lord said, I'm going to help you. And I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God. I didn't tell that to nobody. Like, I didn't tell nobody that I needed to do this or be able to,
Mm,
or had this assignment to help other people. In fact, prior to this, I had joined another Moms to Mom with another
mhm.
one, someone that I know. I joined on the back seat, and it was like the Lord was saying, that's fine. You're supposed to be supportive, and that's good, but that's not where I want, and that's not what I want for you. I want something else, and so nobody knew that that was in my mind and in my heart to do this, and until you spoke it out, and I thought, oh God.
Wow.
So it came
Wow.
forth, and you said, I'm going to help you. And I thought, because I
Yes,
kept thinking, I can't do, I knew I couldn't do it on my own strength, but I knew I couldn't even physically put things into place the way I felt them. I needed
mm,
someone else to help me articulate and communicate what I could say it and then they could put it on paper. I could say it and they could make a vision. I needed someone else to help because sometimes your vision is your vision, but you always need someone else helping pushing that vision to get it
that's
out there.
right. Right. You need a runner, as
Hmm.
Habakkuk says, write the vision so that them that read it can run with it. And you need someone who
Absolutely.
has been anointed and gifted by God for what you're
Absolutely.
doing. You know, you could have went to
Absolutely.
any other marketing agency, but if they're not anointed to help pull
Right.
out of you and also to see on you what God is saying, because that's all that was
Absolutely.
when we were in prayer. I was just obeying God and what I saw. And Lord, we
Right.
got to talk about this because you say you call it isolation, but the old saints call it a drawback spirit. The old saints call it a drawback spirit.
Yes.
And you were like, no, no. And I was like, yes,
Mm-mm.
yes, yes, you got this. You
Yeah.
got this. But let me ask you this, because I remember when we talked further at some point, you shared with me how you were already helping people. You were already a
Absolutely.
go-to
Yeah.
person. So
Yeah.
just to help those who are listening, do you think that you subconsciously may have had um somewhat of a fear of stepping out in it completely because of just the level of surrender, or the level of commitment that it
Yeah.
was going to take to leave your own pain and your own self in order to open up fully to be available for others consistently? Do you think you were kind of battling with that a little bit?
Of course I was because when you're in pain, when you're sick, you want to take care of yourself first. I'm not
Mhm.
saying don't take care of anybody else, but you're sick. Let me get myself first, and then I can take care of you. And so with grief to grace, I can't absolutely say that I'm getting myself first until I
Mhm.
put somebody else. And for me, it was stepping definitely into the unknown. Like this is not anything that I would have ever signed up for. Like if you this is somewhere this is not what I would have signed up for. But I did have a couple, like you said, I was helping people, and it was definitely pushing. There's a pushing again. Here it was. They were pushing me to actually help me birth. They were getting me ready to birth this thing. There were people that were calling me because they had, like I said, lost their
Right.
children. And I joined the mom to mom group, and in the mom to mom group, I was able to help some of the ladies that were in that group as well. Also, one of my good friends introduced me to another lady. Never seen her in my life. I don't even think that our path would have ever crossed if it hadn't have been for one of my good friends saying, "I need you to meet my friend." And she lost her son, and she lost her son. And so in that, I was able to just help her and talk to her. Because let me tell you, and listen, a lot of time listening, when people are in pain can be the biggest and the best blessing and thing that you can ever do for them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to share scriptures. You don't have to share what we have traditionally said. You don't have to share anything. You can just let me talk or let me cry. And so for this lady, I never ever seen her before. And the first thing I did when we finally got together was I hugged her.
Mm.
And when I hugged her, there was a sigh of relief. I could feel like, how you just like relief. And so she had a sigh of relief. And she shared with me that she had not talked to anyone about her son's death. And it probably was 6 months. And she hadn't talked to
Mhm.
anyone. She didn't want to talk about it. She just didn't want to say it. It just literally uh, made her have a breakdown if she just said that he was deceased.
Mm.
So yeah, I was doing grief to grace before I was officially grief to grace, but it was all a part of the pushing to get the assignment out of
Mm.
me.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And so you obeyed God. What would you say to those who are watching and they are struggling with obeying God because of how hard they feel their season is right now?
I would say try it. Try me now and see. That's what
Mm.
I would say. Try me. Just try him and see. It's going to work out for you, but if you just try me, if you go in the store and push the little thing, it says try me. It's got a little button there. You try it, and it comes on and it plays music. It works. So if you try me, it works. I'll do what I say. So in obedience, sometimes is hard because of the instructions, because the instructions don't seem to fit the narrative. It may not. It may be weird. It may be seeming to be not socially correct, politically correct. But if the Lord said it, and
Mm.
you're sure He said it, try Him. Try me now and see.
Try me now and see. Well, you have a plethora of beautiful things that people can take part of on your website. You have some beautiful items there, and I definitely want people to be able to see that. So we're going to put that on screen. But one of the most beautiful items, one of them is your book. And that
Yes.
is
Yes.
Journey. Yes, Journey from Grief to Grace. So I
Yes.
want you to talk a little bit about your book, and I'm going to pull this up so we can kind of get some so people can see what I see. So when they log on to grieftoggrace.org, then they're able to see this beautiful website and all of the features. But before we dive into all of the features, I want to hear about your book, Journey from Grief to Grace. And so kind of tell the audience a little bit about it and, what readers can get out of this incredible companion for navigating grief.
Journey from Grief to Grace is absolutely to me. Even though I wrote it, if I had to give it to someone, I would be able to um, say I enjoyed it, and for the simple reason is that it talks about all of the emotions that you may be feeling, and it also gives you space to write down any emotions or anything that you're feeling that day, as well as giving you some guided tips for navigation Things that you may be thinking that are weird to you, you'll probably see it in the journey from grief to grace to let you understand that it is not weird. It also has spaces where you can absolutely give yourself some congratulations because you had grace moments, things that you thought that you would not be able to do or not be able to overcome, or just the little things you can help celebrate yourself and you can write that down. Today I went 5 hours without crying. Okay, that's great. That's a great moment. Go ahead and give yourself a hand clap. Or this month I didn't visit the graveyard but 3 times, and where I have been going for 30 days. Go ahead. Let's just go
Mhm.
ahead and give yourself a hand clap for it. So this journal, sort of say, it's more of a journal than a book. So it allows you to read and see some of my feelings and expression as well as to put your own feelings and expression. So it really allows you to, like, I felt that way, so you can get in my footsteps, so to speak. And then he's like, yeah, I felt that way. So I feel where she's coming from. I know oh, that was me. And then you can always write on the other side and say, that was me, and I did this, and now this is me. So I think it is an absolutely beautiful, encouraging navigation tool for someone that's dealing with grief. And like I said before, people, this is a hard topic for people to talk about. People don't like to talk about it, but it's much needed. There is not a time, and I'm sure you've seen on your timeline where people say, rest in peace, rest in peace. It's just when you
Mhm.
wake up, it's always rest in peace, or you receive a text that so and so, passed away, or you pray for so and so because their family, are going through. You see that more now than I did when I was
Mhm.
younger. I see it more now, and especially in these days and time. And it tends to be um, sometimes it's more of a younger crowd than it is the older crowd. So that let me know that there are some parents
Right.
having to bury some children, and that's a hard place to be.
That is very, very challenging. Well, I love it. I love From Grief to Grace, and it looks like we got to get some pictures of the inside on here because the inside is so beautiful. And as
Yeah,
you said, it is a reflective journal, so it does allow people to go through the information and to also reflect. But your whole website, the way you envisioned it, having different areas for people to actually interact with the site, such as the grace moments, the testimonies of healing, and the memory wall, and the journey tools, and the grief conversations. It's incredible. And I know from time to time you also do upcoming events. So I do
yeah.
want to kind of highlight, do you have anything in particular coming up right now? Are you planning for 2026?
We're planning for 2026. We don't have anything in the month of December that is concreted. We had some different things that we talked about, but we don't have anything that's concreted. But we did finish a segment in November um, when the holidays hurt, healing through the holidays. And every Monday, I'll allow a different guest to come on. Because grief is unique. It's not the same. So I gave where other guests came on and gave their different perspective of things to happen. And it wasn't always a mom or a dad. It was some people that lost moms and dads and brothers, different things like that. So I wanted to put a variety of people that have actually went through grief and are actually healing from it and can give some helpful tips.
I love that. Yes, that was a beautiful segment. And I'm looking forward to 2026 and you doing some of those meetups that we talked about. You envisioned doing as well, monthly or quarterly meetups for those who just want to share and want that support. Well, Jackie, I know that so many people are proud of you. I know your family is proud, your husband and your daughters, and
Yeah.
and your son. And yes, and I just know that everybody, your mom, everyone is just so proud of how you chose to get through this season and how you're continuing to choose God. When you were speaking earlier, that's what came to me is that you have made the decision to go through this
Mm,
with God. And I think that's
absolutely.
the difference, that everybody has to choose. You have to choose God. We can
Yes.
choose despair, we can choose depression, we can choose all of those things. But if we make the choice to choose God, we have so much
Mm,
strength to get through it. Are
absolutely.
there any last words that you would like to share with our viewers? Anything else you'd like to share with them?
One of the things that I say often in my book, and that is it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to be stuck in not being okay. So I just want people to know it's okay if you're not okay, but you always have a lifeline or a rope that can get you some help if you need help.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you so
Mhm.
much, Coach Jackie. I love
You're
you.
welcome. I love you too. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yes, yes, so many great things to come. And like I said, we're going to have you back when we start doing our in person segments as well, because we
Okay.
just want people to get the fullness in every way possible of the incredible stories that I'm connected to. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. All right, everybody. So it was such a blessing to have Coach Jackie on. Don't forget to go by her website. That's grieftoggrace.org. And I'm going to add it here so that you can check it out. And that way, so I'm dropping it in the comments. You guys can go by and check it out. Also, you can click right there, grief to grace, the number 2.org. So many powerful resources. And let me tell you, Coach Jackie is speaking. She is speaking for conferences. She has presented workshops. She's doing her one on one coaching, but she can also help your groups. If you have a women's group or a mom parents group or a youth group, any type of group, and you want to help them navigate their seasons of loss and grief, even through the holidays, I encourage you to look up Coach Jackie. I absolutely love her. And she is right. We were in a prayer group and I just felt the Holy Spirit. I said, wait a minute, something is brewing. And sure enough, it was the Lord unctioning me to let her know, hey, you do not have to birth this ministry alone. So I got with my team at It's J Media and we partnered to bring her ministry forward. And so she is speaking. And I want to say that because I'm like, hey, where we going? Where we going next? Where you speaking next? But she is just a willing vessel to share her testimony and encourage others. That's all it's about. Another thing I love about her, and I'll let y'all go, is she's not one of those me, see me. And as her brand strategist, I'm like, wait a minute, we need to do this. We need to put you here. We need to do this. She's just like, let me pray about that. And I'm like, God already said it's okay. But I love that she has a spirit of willingness to whatever the Lord is leading her to do. And so reaching out and connecting with Coach Jackie, you've got someone concerned about those that you are connected with. I appreciate you guys so much for being tuned in. It's been a great episode. We have so many things to come. If you want to partner with the show, partner with what we're doing, get advertisement for your business or anything like that, just inbox me. I'd be happy to connect with you and see how we can help you and push what you have going on. Until next time, I'll see you back here the same time, same place on Jessica Grace Live. Take care.